If you are watching this video now, don't think this is entertainment. This is a warning. Abusive relationships, they don't start with violence. They start with silent control. Then they sow fear, and in many cases, they end in tragedy. This video is not about toxic love. It's about the exact point at which psychological violence becomes a life-threatening risk. And most importantly, it's about how to identify this point before it's too late. The story you are about to hear is the story of Clara. She survived, but experts who study this type of case say something frightening. Many women, they do not survive after these same signs. His name was Pedro. He didn't hit, he didn't yell. He never threatened at the beginning. He seemed confident, reliable, different from the others. And that's exactly how it begins. Important notice: if at any point in this video you recognize your own story or the story of someone close to you, prioritize your safety. This video could save a life, including yours. In the end, we'll talk about what to do, not to gain likes, but for you to get out alive. Now take a deep breath and pay attention, because the next signs are not opinions, they are patterns studied by science. Clara met Pedro in an ordinary setting, nothing romantic about it, nothing intense, a place where normal people circulate. He seemed calm, educated, attentive. He didn't force a conversation. He wasn't encroaching on anyone's space. That made her trust him. He listened more than he spoke. He remembered small details: the time she left work, the coffee she avoided, her fear of arguing. "I like calm people," he used to say, and Clara believed him because it seemed safe, because it didn't seem dangerous, because it seemed peaceful. Pedro made Clara feel chosen, wanted, chosen. He said she was different, more mature, more sensitive, more truthful. He spoke softly, a fixed gaze, calm tone. He never argued, he never lost control. When they disagreed, he smiled. "We'll talk about that later," he said, and Clara felt respected, protected. She didn't realize, but she was already giving in, without realizing where it began. Pedro started to take care. He asked if she had arrived safely, if she was tired, if she needed help. "Should I go out that much? This place is not safe," he said. "These people don't know you like I do." Clara thought it was beautiful, thought it was maturity, thought it was love. He didn't forbid it, he was suggesting. He didn't give orders, he gave advice. And it always seemed logical. It always seemed reasonable. It always seemed right. Clara started listening to Pedro more than herself, and that seemed normal. Without realizing it, Clara changed. The schedule changed, the clothes changed, the answers changed, the opinions changed. To avoid conflict, to avoid discomfort, to maintain peace. Pedro praised her when she agreed. He would get cold when she disagreed. He didn't fight, he would walk away, and the silence hurt more than screams. Clara began to anticipate reactions, measuring words carefully, think before feeling. She called it maturity, adaptation, of love, but it was the beginning of control. The change was not a shock, it was an infiltration. Pedro began to question small memories. "Are you sure that's how it was? That's not what I said. You've been very sensitive lately." Clara tried to explain. He smiled, calm, convinced. She thought she was exaggerating. She began reviewing conversations, rereading messages, confirm times, check dates, to avoid making the same mistake again. Pedro said that this was a cause for concern, but Clara began to feel confused, didn't understand why, just felt that something was wrong, and she thought the mistake was hers. Pedro never said, "Stay away." He said, "I get worried." He never forbade it. He was warning them. "These people don't like you. They're using you. You come back a different person when you go out with them." Clara started avoiding dates, so to not have to hear any comments, to avoid creating tension, so to not have to explain herself. The number of calls decreased, the visits stopped, the messages went unanswered. Pedro became the center, the reference, the world's filter. When something went wrong, she asked him what he thought. When something went right, she expected his approval. The world became smaller, and he taller. Pedro discovered what hurt most. It wasn't about shouting, it was about disappearing. When Clara disagreed, he would get cold, distant, monosyllabic. Hours, days. Clara apologized without knowing why. She reviewed each sentence, each tone, each expression. She slept poorly. She used to wake up anxious, afraid of making the same mistake again. Pedro returned to normal without explanation. He smiled, acted as if nothing had happened, and Clara felt relief, gratitude, addiction. Her brain learned agreement brings peace. Questioning brings pain. Do you also feel more afraid when the person disappears than when you argue? Clara no longer recognized herself. I was afraid to speak. Fear of feeling. Fear of remembering incorrectly. She called herself confused, unstable, difficult. Words that Peter used. She stopped trusting her own judgment. He asked for validation for everything. Clothes, decisions, messages, friendships, thoughts. Peter said, I just want to help you. But Clara felt smaller and smaller, more insecure, more trapped. And she still believed that it was love, because he never hit, he never shouted. Yet, what Clara was feeling was not weakness. It was a measurable psychological effect. The psychologist, Dr. Jacobson from the University of Michigan, she studied couples where there was no initial physical aggression. The pattern was the same: constant doubt, excessive self-correction, fear of making mistakes, gradual loss of identity. Jacobson called this progressive psychological erosion. The victim begins to adapt their behavior to avoid tension, not out of love, for emotional survival. The brain goes into alert mode, assesses risks. It provides for penalties, seeking security. Clara wasn't confused. She was reacting to an unseen threat, exactly as the study describes. The psychologist Lenore Walker, creator of the concept of cycle of violence, he proved something crucial. Before the physical assault, there is always a psychological phase: rising tension, subtle control, punitive silence, reconciliation, a promise of change, intense affection. The brain associates pain and relief to the same person. This creates the trauma bond, a chemical bond, not emotional, chemical. Dopamine through affection, cortisol in fear. Clara felt relieved when Pedro returned to normal. That wasn't love. It was conditioning. Walker showed. The longer this cycle, the hardest part is leaving. The danger assessment, developed by researchers affiliated with Johns Hopkins, analyzes when psychological violence occurs. It becomes a life-threatening risk. The signs are clear: total isolation, routine check, constant humiliation, fear of contradicting others, change in the victim's personality. When these factors appear together, the risk of physical escalation increases dramatically. Clara introduced almost all of them, but she didn't know, because nobody teaches that. The study reveals something frightening. Many victims die without ever having been assaulted before. Psychological control comes first. The final violence comes later. This is the point of no return. Research from the National Institute of Mental Health
They show that the body reacts before the mind understands. Insomnia, constant anxiety, pains with no apparent cause, memory loss, difficulty concentrating, hypervigilance. The nervous system collapses. Clara started to get sick. Not physically serious, but internally. She thought it was stress, tiredness, bad phase. But the science is clear. The body screams when the mind is trapped. These symptoms are not emotional. They are neurological. And ignore them, that's what leads to many stories ending in tragedy. The collapse didn't come with a punch. It came with a look. A minimal change. Almost imperceptible. Pedro began to lose his patience. He wasn't shouting. He clenched his jaw. He took a deep breath. He stared intently. Clara felt her body freeze. He began to control schedules with precision. He asked where she was, with whom, for how long. If she lingered, silence would fall. No more cold, threatening. Clara began to feel genuine fear. No discomfort. Fear. Something inside her said, "Now it's different." The perfect moment came in a simple sentence. Pedro said quietly, "You force me to lose control." It wasn't a scream. It wasn't a direct threat. But Clara felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. According to danger assessment, when the abuser shifts the blame for their own anger, the risk increases dramatically. Clara started avoiding everything. To look, word, movement. She lived on high alert. She slept fully clothed. Cell phone always charged. She thought about escape routes. But she still blamed herself. "It's my fault," she thought. This thought is the last link of the chain of security. The rupture was not planned. It was instinct. On an ordinary night, Pedro blocked the door. He didn't touch her. It wasn't necessary. The mere presence was enough. Clara felt her body cold, her heart racing. She saw for the first time not who he was, but what he could do. That changed everything. When he turned his back, Clara left. Without bag, without explanation, without goodbye. Mail. She called someone she hadn't seen in months. She asked for help. She cried. But she came alive. And that's what matters. Leaving wasn't the end. That was the beginning of the shock. Guilt. Fear. Confused longing. Want to go back. The trauma bond screams. The brain craves the familiar drug. But Clara had support.
Information. Distance. Over time, the symptoms have decreased. The body relaxed. My mind cleared. She understood something crucial. If he had stayed, I wouldn't be telling this story. Many don't count, because the final collapse, there are no second chances. Psychological control, it doesn't end with conversation. It ends in an escape, or in tragedy. If you've followed Clara's story this far, understand something with absolute clarity. What destroys first? It's not physical violence. It is ongoing psychological violence. Before the first push, before the first slap, before the first explicit threat, they exist, predictable signs. The science is clear. The patterns repeat themselves. And ignore them? That's what turns control into tragedy. 8 warning signs of violence. Real checklist. You often doubt your own memory. He apologizes even without knowing why. He avoids friends to avoid problems. You choose your words carefully to avoid provoking reactions. The person's silence causes you physical fear. You feel small, confused, guilty. He's shifting the blame for his own anger onto you. Your body lives in a constant state of alert. If you recognized 3 or more, that's no exaggeration. It's a risk. 1. Give the pattern a name. Psychological control thrives in silence. Naming is breaking the spell. 2. Talk to someone outside the relationship. Isolation kills. Connection saves. 3. Start an exit plan, even if you're not leaving yet. Documents, emergency contact, safe place. Planning is not betrayal. A plan is protection. If this video described your reality or that of someone you know, don't sign up now. Go out first, seek help, and then share this video with someone who may be in danger. This content was not created for views. It was made to prevent deaths. When you are safe, when you can breathe without fear, come back. Here, we will continue talking about something no one warns you about before it's too late. Because love doesn't bind. Don't confuse them. It's not a threat. And if someone makes you live in fear, this is not love. It's about control.